After years of last-minute cancellations and no-shows for the Boundary Waters, the U.S. Forest Service is proposing a new cancellation policy to get unused permits back into the system faster.
Yeah, Northern News Now's Maggie Franzen joins us in studio with an update on that proposal and why your input is needed. Maggie.
Thank you, Dan and Laura. Brainstorming for a solution to these last-minute cancellations has been in the works since 2024. Stakeholders, participants, and local businesses were all being impacted as the number of permits going unused increased every year. As a result, those groups came together to form a committee, and they're now seeking public comment for their proposal. Boundary Waters Canoe Area welcomes thousands of permitted visitors each year. Currently, there are no fees if you cancel your permit within 48 hours of your selected dates. But this new proposal seeks to change that. Sonny Lucas, the acting forest supervisor, says the new proposal is in direct response to the large number of permits going to waste due to no-shows or last-minute cancellations.
It's not random, talking again with folks who own small businesses up here and go into the Boundary Waters and plan trips for years. We used their input in coming up with, these numbers. So.
The new proposed cancellation policy would implement refund rates based on how far in advance a cancellation is made. For example, you would get a 50% refund if you cancel 28 days before your trip, and this percentage decreases the closer to the trip date, with no refund if you cancel within 48 hours of the trip. The goal is to capitalize on canceled permits because forest officials say it takes about 24 hours for a canceled permit to become available for sale again.
If we do implement this, it's going to be a shift for people, but ultimately, again, the benefit to creating more access to the Boundary Waters for more people.
Jenny Nelson, at Spirit of the Wilderness Outfitters, says she believes this would create a positive change for her business as well as other businesses that rely on visitors to the Boundary Waters.
I think if there's a way to get people to cancel permits they're not using and to get more permits into hands of people that are actually going to use it, I think it's definitely a great idea.
Public comment will be open until July 22nd, and the only valid ways to share feedback are through the Superior National Forest website or by mail. Comments made via social media will not be formally considered. After the comment window closes, the Forest Service will review input and evaluate the proposal for a leadership decision. If approved, this policy will be in place for 2027 permit sales. In studio, Maggie Franzen, Northern News Now.
Thank you, Maggie. You can see what outfitters have told us about the cancellations on our Northern News Now app.